makes most women start a business? Is it passion, money, or freedom? Welcome to Female Founders, the podcast that takes you behind the scene with women who are founders and CEOs to help you start and scale a successful business of your own. I am your host, Nagelia de Ravin. Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Female Founders. Today I will be having a conversation with Melanie Panton, the founder of MeyvnMedia LLC, a strategy consultant agency that empowers businesses by making data-driven decisions. All right, good morning, Melanie, and thank you for joining me today. It's great to have you here to share your insight and experiences with us. So, can you tell us about your journey and what inspired you to start MeyvnMedia?
So first, thank you so much for having me. I am truly delighted to be here and have this opportunity and platform to connect with you. So great question. My journey is a long one, and I don't know if you would have all the time to discuss that. But what I would say is that really kind of the catalyst for me deciding to start my own strategy firm was I felt, for each of the positions, the jobs that I would go into, right, whether it was an agency or a nonprofit, or I felt that I was always being restricted to in a box, limited to the skills or capabilities that maybe had only been presented on my resume or only in an interview. And you can only accomplish so much, right, in that amount of time.
Yes.
And I figured that, as I was kind of interviewing over the years, what I noticed is there was a lot of feedback. Well, I feel you'd be good for this, but I also see you doing that. And there was really never a hybrid role where all of my skill sets, and not just work, but my life experiences could also be integrated and combined for me to really be the best version of myself and what I could provide. And so I figured if there is no role for me, then, or one that I couldn't find at least, and I even tried creating hybrid roles and having these conversations, then I needed to create the role. And in order to create the role, I needed to create my own company to do so.
Wow, this is amazing.
Yeah, and so it was, been thinking about this for a long time. But last year, I had my own kind of consulting on the side, but last year I decided this is the time. I am ready, and I'm kind of ready to go 100% and give all of me, as I would want anyone to do when they are working with me or if I'm working with someone else.
So now, from last year, you pretty much stop your full-time job in general and just focus 100% into your business.
Yes, which is risky. So the good thing about that is I have an extremely strong support system. My family, 2 brothers, a sister, my mother, and of course the extended family. Being from Jamaica, we have our cousins and aunts and uncles and all that wonderful things, nephews and nieces. And having that support system, every time I doubted myself, they never doubted me. And so I said, for me, I need to do this 100%. This has to be my focus 100%, because if I give my focus to anything else, then I really won't, I think I won't really be invested 100% in what I'm doing. I'm not going to give it my all. I'll always feel that there's a backup plan. And my mindset is, if you think that this is it, and you do not have a backup plan, you have to make this work. No for me means next option. And so that's what this is, right? If I go to a client and they say no, or if it's a strategy or an idea and they say no, that doesn't mean the end of the road. It just means next option. And so for me, deciding to go completely 100%, with my firm meant that I needed to be able to focus all of my time, all of my energy, and give the best version of myself and not be distracted from anything else. So I don't have a backup.
I love it. I don't either. So I told my son, I remember telling my son, I do not have a backup plan after one meal. So every time I want to take a break, he reminds me, Mom, you don't have a backup plan. You need to go back to work.
There you go, right? But I still have those moments when, I need to wake up. This morning, actually, I was working on a project, and my mind, it just keeps going and going and going. And I woke up at 3 o'clock because I just could not sleep. And that's the way I am. If something comes to my mind, then I just need to do it right then and there. And that's also something that I found a little bit limiting in when you're in a full-time role. This is your job, this is your descriptions. And even though they say, hey, you can grow, you can learn, but at what pace? At
True.
Whose responsibilities? At whose ceiling? And so for me, the flexibility of being able to get up, yes, at 3, but then maybe take a nap at noon, which is very rare, and in between, allows me to express that creativity and really be able to do what I enjoy doing without the confines of necessarily having to report directly to someone every single day versus collaborating with my clients.
And I think that's the really the great part about having your own business is the fact that it's a big it's like your shoulder feel a lot less like because when you have a full-time job, for me, that's how I used to feel. It's like I have a lot of big buckets on top of my shoulder right there, and I'm carrying them every day. And when I show up to work, I don't know what's going to happen, It's like, do I need to stay here until 7 p.m. today? Or what's going to, do I need to meet this guideline? Can it be changed? Mm-hmm. It's like all of these things, but also that I felt like it's also underappreciated. Even no matter how much work you put into it, in corporate America, that's how I felt. It's like it was underappreciated. It's never really enough. Mm-hmm. Even if you work weekends, you barely have enough time with your family, and you're underpaid, by the way, but you never really feel like what you are doing is making the company better.
Yeah, that's definitely something that I have grappled with in the past, and it's something that I've struggled with. And I think that what I've learned is, with doing what I'm doing on my own, it's really important for me to be able to preserve my mental health, my well-being, my emotional being, which is something I'm actually much able to do, even though, I have this client deadline. Am I going to get my next client? When am I going to get my next client?
Oh, yes.
I still have, some of the stressors and things that come with this, but it allows me to create a safe space in my time on my terms of when I'm able to say enough is enough. I need a break. I need a full day of not doing anything. I need a mental health day. It's not dedicated to just one day of the week or one day of the year for me, right? It is dedicated one day of the week. Right? A mental health day at least once a day, and it could be for an hour. It might not even be for the entire day. But my emotional well-being and feeling appreciated. And I'm able to do that when I work directly with brands or directly with clients. I'm getting the feedback. I'm in the room. I'm able to read the body languages. To really kind of have that partnership that I'm looking for versus, the middleman. And so I think that for me, I still, however, hold myself to an extremely high standard, and I wouldn't want it any less. The only difference is that I know when I have done my best and I have given my all, and I do 100%, because there's a Jamaican proverb that says, if you want good, you know it's have to run. And that means if you want success, you need to work and really work. So for me, I still hold the bar. There's no ceiling, right? Because if there's a ceiling, that means there's a limit. There's none for me. So I still hold, high standards, but I'm able to create a safe space for myself when I need to take a break, when I need to breathe, when I need to de-stress. And I don't really need to ask anyone's permission for that. And I feel like we shouldn't have to ask permission for that or explain why we need to do that. So that's the one for many advantages. And the other thing too is you mentioned about being underpaid. So I set the rates for what I believe is a fair value of my time, of my skills, my expertise, of what I'm bringing, my unique value proposition that I'm bringing to the table, and what I believe and understand the company needs. And with that, I feel comfortable with a number that we agree on. And I think that's where I feel my appreciation. And I also feel my appreciation when they say a job well done.
Well done. I think that's like the best moment ever when you get that. Well done, thank you.
Absolutely.
So now, what sets? Well, can you tell us about your journey and to like the whole step of starting MeyvnMedia? Like, how did you how was that journey? Like, you decided, okay, I'm gonna start this business now. You need business plan, you need all these things, and that can be a lot very frustrated. So how was that journey?
Yeah, so my journey actually was not very complex. And the reason why I say that is because this was something that if I'm not sure about doing something, I don't do it, but it's brewing in the back of my mind. And when I am sure about doing something, I move very quickly. I move quickly, I think quickly, I speak quickly, and that's just kind of who I am. And so the idea of starting my own firm, my own strategy firm, was always in the back of my mind. It was just a matter of making the first step. And I thought about, who would I want to talk to? How would I do this? I knew about the name actually back in 2016 or 17. I had already created the name in my head. And, as we were talking, Maven means the Yiddish Maven means someone who understands, which is exactly what I need to do. I need to be able to understand people, understand behaviors, understand my brand's, our clients' needs and goals, and not just theirs, but their employees as well. So I woke up and I went online. I looked up the process of how to start your own company. And I did it. I did the EIN and registering, and I got a registered agent, and I got my office. I got a phone number. I just, in 3 days, that's all I did. I had what this is going to be about, who am I? But I felt because I already had this information, it was just in the back of my head, it was just a matter of actually getting it out on paper and following the steps, made it a little bit easier for me. The other thing too is that, I did have some help from friends with kind of just saying, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? And that was kind of the push for me to propel things and move in a fast track. And I felt if I don't do it now, I'm not going to do it. That this is the time. I've been working for a long time. I've been in marketing for going well over 15 years, and I felt this is it.
This is it. So now, what is the company's about? What are the services that you offer?
So, MeyvnMedia, we are a data-driven, actionable, sites-led strategy firm. And what I mean by that is we go and understand what a client needs, not just externally. So it's not just advertising and marketing advertising services where we're saying, okay, well, how can you better connect with your consumers and who's your target audience and help, create brand awareness and, unique value propositions and roadmaps and all of those wonderful jargons, right, that we use. It's really about understanding the operations of the business, the enterprise, as well as their offerings and services, understanding how that aligns with the stakeholders, with the leadership, with the employees, and then putting together a strategy that is unified to help, one, let them be more effective and efficient in their work, reduce redundancies, costs, ensure their technology is on par, that they have all the tools they need in order to execute an actual strategy, a marketing strategy, which would thereby be promoting their products, their services to their targeted consumer, with the hopes that it meets what they're trying to do, right? So whether it's to be a leader in that vertical, or a return on investment, or if it is to create of a emotional connection or brand affinity with a particular audience that they've been trying to reach, right? Whether it's a multicultural audience, or whether it's, in another country, or increase their market share, their revenue. There's so many things that companies are trying to do. And so we do both a horizon strategy, which is a long term, right? 2 to 5 years,
Okay.
and then a short term, which might be a specific marketing, performance marketing campaign that they need, or it might just be something but they're needing to focus on for 2023 or 2024.
Wow, this is like a whole. I mean, like, you look at the whole company in general. It's like,
Exactly. And I think that that's the difference, is that we're not looking at just marketing and saying we would like brands to better connect across all platforms, across all touch points, and create this seamless journey for consumers, right? Where they are,
yes,
excited, or delighted, or engaged, or they feel motivated or inspired by a brand. You can have a wonderful strategy, but if you do not have the tools, the resources, or the people in place in a
true.
company to execute that strategy, it's just like, if you want to reach the right people at the right time on the right platforms, you need the right people in the company in the right positions to be able to execute and drive that strategy.
Yes. So now, when you go into a company, it's like you work with the marketing team, or because they don't have a marketing team at all, they just bring in your company in?
So it depends. I've done both. So I've done where I have gone in and they do not have a marketing person. And so I've come in to do the marketing strategy. And that's omnichannel, or what we would also, so omnichannel or holistic. And that would either be online and offline, or it would just
Okay.
be completely digital. So I would come in and I'd come up with the marketing strategy for that, or I will do both the enterprise and the marketing strategy. When we're going on the client side, so I've usually worked on the agency. On the agency side, it's a little bit different, right? So you're coming up with just the marketing strategy. You're not necessarily looking at the business and how they operate, right?
Okay.
You're there just to help them reach their audiences in the best way that you believe you can reach them, based on research, based on data. And when I say research and data, people might think of just reading whatever they find on the
On Google.
Google, right? For me, research are peer review journals, right? It's like the highest
Mm.
authoritative fact finder that you can have. And so that's just on disputes. And I think that's atypical for our strategy, is to use peer reviewed journals. And so that's one thing that we're very big on using. And then, if they're like I said, for the agency, we obviously are just doing the marketing strategy. And that could
Yes.
be offline, online, or integrated, which is both. For the client side, typically one of two things: they do not have a marketing team, or they have a team who has certain skill sets that may lend to the use of being able to help market their products, but they may not necessarily are in a point where they have the power to do what an agency can do, where
Mm.
everyone has specific or special skill sets, right? In social media, or in strategy, or in creative development, or in paid marketing versus organic, or excuse me, paid media versus organic
Mina.
media. So that's a little bit different. And I actually like that. I like going to companies who are not quite sure. And that's okay, because what I love to do is I love to work with them and figure out, who are you? Where are you trying to go? How do you want to get there? And let's figure out how and when you can get there and through what vehicles and tools. So it's a mix up of things for me. But I enjoy, I say most, working on the client side, going into companies where there may be a marketing team, but they're not yet quite sure about the strategy, or they're trying to build a marketing team and they need someone to help with the strategy, but that also requires looking at the organization on a whole.
Do you also train the marketing team, just in case the marketing team was not trained properly, or they are new, they don't know anything about the company or anything like that?
Yeah, so I wouldn't say that I train them, but what I do is I treat them kind of as though their discipline is their own business. So I want them to come up with, what is your mission? What is your value? How do you feel that you are contributing to the success and the overall objective, right? Like every company has a publicly articulated vision. So how are you contributing to that publicly articulated vision? How are you contributing to the goals and to the objectives in your particular, discipline? And then when you look at your discipline and all the other disciplines, how can you work together to optimize, amplify that, and really be a team? Right. So it's thinking about who you are in your discipline, understanding the other disciplines, and how you can work together to be able to produce results that the company is essentially looking for. So I wouldn't say I necessarily train them, but I do give exercises. I do interviews.
Homework.
Yeah, I do. I give templates, exercises, interviews, work sessions, really just to be able to, I guess, guide or shepherd a little bit more.
So now, what set MeyvnMedia apart from other strategy consultant agencies?
Well, one which I mentioned is that I and I think I can speak freely on this. There are not many strategy agent or strategy firms or strategy consulting companies that use peer review journals. And I think that that is extremely important, because peer review journals are respected peer review journals. That is the highest fact finder, right? That you can find. I mean, clinical trials and studies, looking at trends. When I was looking at a peer review journal that was talking about being able to work remotely before COVID actually came, and everyone had to shift working remotely, and it became so difficult for people to kind of do that, even though maybe sometimes they would, work from home every now and again, to have almost the entire country shift, into that completely different working environment. For me, it was much easier because I read on these peer review journals. This is where kind of work environment is going to be heading. These are the things that you need to do to help remain interconnectivity and teamwork amongst members. How leaders are going to maybe have to shift in the way they deliver their messages, or the way that they try to connect with their employees and their colleagues, being able to how to have meetings but have those like icebreakers, so it's not always so formal, how to be able to so all of those things, I think sets us apart, right? Is that we're kind of always looking behind the corner and what's behind the corner of the corner.
I like that one.
I think the other thing too is that we have a breadth of experience where, because we know data is so important, we have a understanding that data in itself is not good enough. we need to know how to break that data and to have it be actionable, and actionable where you can really act on it. So, it can be aspirational, but we really need it to be actionable and inspirational. I think the other thing about MeyvnMedia is the breadth of services that we offer, is that we understand that while a marketing strategy is amazing and it's great and we can do that, that a company to survive, be successful, it is critical that the people who are within that organization are completely, or as best can be, unified and aligned, not just on what they're trying to accomplish, but aligned on how to treat your employees, what matters to them, what incentivize different groups versus another, right? What might incentivize me may not incentivize you.
True.
Might like gifts, I might like money. So, or some people just like recognition or awards. So understanding how to value, your employees and in what ways. So I think the difference is really we need to also take a look at the company, its operation, its workflow, its processes, in order to create an effective strategy, whether it's business or it's market. And I think a lot of consulting firms or strategy firms, they do one or the other.
Not both.
Not both. And if they do both, maybe not simultaneously. I do it simultaneously because we're trying to come to the common goal at the same time.
Wow. So as a Jamaican immigrant living and working in the United States, how has your background influenced your work and approach to business?
So I think so Jamaicans, we are very proud people. We're very proud. And we don't lack confidence. We truly believe in what we do. And when I say we don't lack confidence, I mean when we really believe in something, we hold our chest high or head high, and we are going to mark to that drum. And so coming from Jamaica and living here in the US, there's definitely different ideas, different thought processes. Here, for example, a lot of the questions sometimes that I get asked, is who do you inspire to be, or, who would you like to be? And my response to that, and I think this is just based on, in Jamaica, we strive for excellence. We want to be excellent. We expect our colleagues to be excellent, our families. So there's just a center of excellence in Jamaica. And then if you're going to go anywhere, you need to make sure you represent us well. And so we strive for that, whether it's in education, whether it's in our personal lives, whether it's in our career. But back to the question of, who do you want to be like, or, who inspires you? And I say, well, I want to be like me. I want to be the best version of myself. Because if I say that I would like to be, no, I admire qualities in a lot of people, in a lot of leaders, whether they're celebrities or government officials or former co-workers. I admire qualities and I can identify that, but I don't aspire to be like anybody but the best version of myself, because the best version of myself is like nobody else. And if I was to say I inspire to be like XYZ, I have just put a ceiling, a cap as to what I can do. And I know that I'm capable of doing so much. So many people are capable of doing so much, but here where we're put into this box, or we're told that this is only what we can do, while at the same time we're told we can be anything. Well, which one is it? So for me, I decide I'm going to be able to do XYZ. My ceiling does not exist. I am here to be the best version of myself. And so being here has been a little bit hard because having that kind of mindset, people may say, well, she thinks she's a know-it-all, or she is too confident. Or the funny thing is, if somebody else was saying this, maybe that's not what they would be saying. So coming from Jamaica, there's a sense of strength that you need to have, of knowing what to take or what to leave behind, kind of knowing what battles to pick, which ones to kind of, leave on the shelf. From my upbringing, been learned to always be kind, no matter what the person has said or done, because it's just a reflection on you. You are your brand. My business is not my brand. I am my brand. So coming from Jamaica is definitely was tricky in the beginning, but experience, speaking to people, having mentors, going back to Jamaica to visit, looking at my aunts and my uncles, my brother, my sister, my mom. That has helped me be able to manage some of the challenges. I think, especially as a woman of color in the U.S., it's different than back in Jamaica, because in Jamaica we are out of many, one people. I'm not a woman of color. I'm just
Hello.
Melanie.
You.
So having to recognize certain things coming here is definitely an eye opener, and then having to figure out how to manage that, how to respond, how to deal with that, becoming aware of certain things that were going on, feeling comfortable enough to speak up, feeling comfortable being in the uncomfortable at times, and understanding that your uncomfortableness is not something that I need to take up. So I think all of those things have transitioned over here in the US. And I think what also has helped is that I've traveled extensively. I've been blessed. I've been traveled to like 30 plus countries. I've lived in 3 countries. Really that diverse perspective of other cultures and how they treat each other and the interaction, and understanding how I need to adapt when appropriate, and be flexible, knowing when to give, when to take. That also has helped me here in the US. So it's not just coming from Jamaica and having that strong foundation. It's also being able to travel to other countries and then take back those experiences and learnings and hardships here to the US and infuse that with my work.
I love what you said. And for me, I always look at it as a Black woman in the United States. We are in a battlefield every single day.
Yeah, I will say I make no qualms that I am very well aware that it is and can be and has been very challenging, whether it's being misunderstood or mislabeled, undervalued, underappreciated, disrespected, underpaid. All of those things have occurred. And I feel that at a certain point, our counterparts might be able to a certain degree, those who would like to can empathize, but will never truly understand. And it's even different for me because I'm from Jamaica. I'm not not a woman of color here, in the U.S. So I'm not African American. So my beliefs and the way that I view things are different from a Black woman or a woman of color who has been here or born and raised in the U.S. So there's even some, challenges there. I think the difference is being able to come together, have those conversations, kind of have the defenses down, being willing to learn, understand, listen, forgive. But it has been challenging, and a lot of times I've had to question: is it me? Is it something I'm doing? And I'm always constantly changing, and I mean, to a point where I just finally said, this is who I am. This is what I'm comfortable doing. This is what I know I can do. And I'm going to move and march forward with that. And whoever would like to come to my table and sit,
welcome.
you're welcome to do so. But yeah, I mean, often they say, we need to create, a seat at the table for a woman. I say, why don't we build our own table and invite those who we would like to come sit at our table? Why do we need to go to someone else's? So
you don't.
Exactly. So I think it's sometimes we need to really take that power back that we have, that voice that we sometimes silence because we're hesitant of what other people may say or think, or jeopardizing our job or friendships. But that's tiring to constantly be one way at work and another way with your friends. So
exactly.
Yeah. So that's
so now. So now, with your company, do you only serve within the United States? You also go to your country, Jamaica, anywhere within the world. So where do you stay? Where's your limit, actually?
Remember I told you I have no ceiling.
I know, but I have to ask.
No, so I have done work in certain parts of Africa, in the diaspora of Africa. I've done that with Bravig. I've also worked with Topshop in the UK. And I would love to do something for Jamaica, with Jamaica.
Yeah.
I would love it. Somebody mentioned something about our website needing to be, or Jamaica, website. And I don't know which website it was, needed to be optimized. I was like, I would love to be able to jump in and do that. But yeah, so because this is a remote first world, I've worked with clients anywhere from Atlanta, California, UK, Africa, and other places as well. So I am open to working with anyone who, is looking for or would like to enhance or devise a business and or marketing strategy. And it's not just, it doesn't have to be a large company, right? It doesn't have to be a Fortune 500 company either. It can be, a small company. It could be an agency that's just starting and needs a little, little help. That's where for just about everyone. The only, I think the only line that I draw is if it is something that I believe a client or a brand, their ethos or is not aligned with certain core values that I have.
Yes.
And the other thing too is the way that they treat their employees. So I could very well be with a client, and if I see that they are not treating, or in my opinion, there's some challenges with the employees or even their communications with me or with any of my colleagues, then that's something that would definitely be addressed.
Well, we all have to have those values, and we need to keep those values high. That's the whole purpose why we start our own. We didn't stay in the corporate world.
Exactly, right. So it's kind of like some of the things that I learned, right, when I was working, for somebody else is, okay, these are the things that I would like to take with me. And these are the things that I definitely do not, kind of things like creating a culture. I don't want to create a culture. Just bring yourself, as who you are. You just appreciate that person for who, as long as they're not harming or hurting. And it's the same thing, you could do great work, but not be the nicest person. I don't really necessarily know if that's an energy that I would like to infuse, with who I am or with my firm. But if you're somebody who's kind and you're willing to learn, and you have great ideas and you're excited, but you don't have tons of experience, that's somebody I probably would want to kind of bring more into the fold. So, there's definitely things that I've learned, and I'm grateful that I learned, while working for large and small organizations, and especially in the agency, where there's a lot of personalities and a lot of do's and don'ts.
So now, how can someone connect with you or get to even get your services?
So they can reach out to info at MeyvnMedia, which is MeyvnMedia.com. And then they could also reach out to me personally, which is MP at MeyvnMedia.com. And that would be the best way. And also LinkedIn, but also on our website, which we're relaunching that. It will be www.MeyvnMedia.com.
So now you have a passion for empowering and uplifting women.
Mm-hmm.
How do you incorporate this mission into your work to support women in business?
Very great question. And I'm glad that you asked that. When I am working with clients, I like to reach out to or express that if there is someone, I mean, I have my own network and my own team, but they mainly consist of women. And there's a reason for that, because I feel that sometimes we are unable to really show exactly what it is that we're capable of doing. And so one of the ways that I do that is, one, by working on projects with other women that I have reached out with or who I've worked with in the past. Two, I do offer mentorships. Even sometimes when I go into a company, I have mentored and I'm still mentoring, especially women of color who may be experiencing challenges in their career or would like to make a pivot or a shift, or want to have a conversation with their supervisor about moving in another direction, or feeling stifled, or feeling that they're not really being, their skills are not really being tapped on. And so they're not really enjoying the work anymore. So those are a couple of things that I do. While I am passionate about women, I'm also very passionate about underrepresented children, or children who are who don't have a strong family foundation. And the reason why I say that is very personal to me is that I'm adopted. And being adopted in Jamaica, that's just something that's not back, at least when I was adopted, that was just not, just didn't really do that. So, there's a lot of abandoned children, or, children that need a little bit more care and love. And so it's really important to me that children are, especially children of color, actually all children are protected, and that they're loved, and that they're guided, and that they are understood. And if you are not in a position to be able to give that true unconditional love, because I needed love from my family all the time. I still do. So I still say you love me. That we should look at resources and tap into those resources that can help children getting them to a better place, especially mentally, emotionally. I mean, if we are experiencing traumas that trigger us as adults, imagine what that does for a child who has been abandoned or given up by their parent or parents. That can lead to long standing challenges and issues. And so that is something that I care deeply about.
Don't worry, I'll take them all. So now, before I let you go, do you have any advice for women?
I would say I don't know if I would say advice, but maybe some key learnings that I've picked up over the years. I think the first thing I would say is And I know this sounds cliche, but believe in yourself and bet on you. If you don't bet on you, nobody's going to bet. No one else is betting on you. You have to bet on yourself.
Yes.
You have to invest all your energy, your time, your money, your skill sets into you. And if a space is not, I know it might sound easier said than done, it is not, because I do not have a backup plan. And so I have days where I'm extremely worried. But if there is a space at work that is not being created for you, you have expressed this, you have tried to show what else you can do. If that is not happening, and your mental health is suffering, your emotional well-being is suffering, you need to leave and create your own space. That is probably the number one piece of advice. If the space is not there for you, if you have tried, if you have worked hard to make everything work where you are, you go somewhere else and maybe the same thing is happening. It is, maybe give yourself the benefit of the doubt that it's not you, that you need to take yourself out of that environment and you need to just go for it. You might have children, you might have elderly ones that you're taking care of in an expanded family. Your husbands, the economy is not that great right now, but being the best version of yourself is the only history that you're going to have. And so that is my piece of advice. And the second piece of advice is get a good attorney. The third piece, get a good attorney. You need this because you just don't know all these legalities, which I didn't. And so it was great to have a good attorney to really kind of walk me through the process on things. And I would say the third thing is go out there, and they say networking is really important. And it is. If you haven't spoken to somebody in a year or 2 years, just be honest with them. Listen, this is what I'm trying to do. Is there any way we can connect and chat and maybe just bounce ideas off of you, or you can give me some advice? There's no shame in that. And if you're wanting to really get and accomplish and do what you need to do, you kind of need to be a little bit uncomfortable, step outside of your box and do that. And the fourth thing I would say is make sure you have a great support system, because there are days where it is going to feel, you're going to wonder if you made the right choice. You are going to question yourself. You are going to be anxious or stressed or lonely because you maybe feel nobody else understands what you're going through. Having a strong support system, and that could be 2, 3, 4 people, doesn't need to be an army, makes all the difference.
Thank you so much, Melanie. I appreciate the conversation and the advice that you give to women. I'm not even going to add anything to it because everything you just said, it's well said, and it needed to be said, and we need to not just listen to it, but also take action, because that's the only way really we're going to make it different in this world. And I thank you so much for sharing your knowledge, your experiences, and everything you do, especially supporting other women. That's something that's very close to my heart.
Thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. It was such a pleasure speaking with you, and I'm sure that we will connect again. We need to. This is the platform.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much. I truly appreciate and what it is an opportunity. I recognize that, and I'm appreciative of this.
Thank you for listening to Female Founders Podcast. That's it for this week's episode. Be sure to follow us on your favorite podcast app or connect with us on womel.com so that you don't miss our next episode. See you next time. Bye for now.